Want to know the steps to use to maximize the chances of success in your next goal? Watch this video for goal setting steps and tips that will help you succeed in your next goal. My name is Chris Houston, and today I want to share some tips and steps that I think will help you in setting your goals. I have learned and I've taught two specific techniques when it comes to setting goals: the S.M.A.R.T technique and the 5 phases of project management. The S.M.A.R.T technique uses each letter to describe each part. The S is for specific. You have to be specific when designing your goals. Know exactly what you are going for. The M is for measurable. Make sure your goals are measurable. You have to know when you have attained your goal. The A is for attainable. When selecting a goal, make sure it's attainable. Who am I to tell you what goals are attainable? The R is for realistic. Your goal has to be realistic or reasonable. Let's say at this stage in my career, I wanted to change gears and become a doctor. Well, that's really not that reasonable or realistic, so think about that. The T is for time-based. This is my favorite part of the S.M.A.R.T model. You have to set a deadline or time limit to get things done. Set small time-based goals that relate to your big goals. Figure out what outcomes you have the most control over and set deadlines and milestones for those goals. Now, here are the steps to set your S.M.A.R.T goal up just like a project manager. I'm going to use one of my goals as an example as I walk you through this process step by step. There are 5 phases or steps in project management. Step 1 is to initiate. This step, you figure out exactly what you want your goal to be and you figure out your why. This phase closely relates to the specific phase in the S.M.A.R.T model. In business, this is the phase where the project is approved to start. In setting your goal, you are the one approving the goal. So promise yourself you won't quit. My goal was to lose 30 pounds in 4 months. My why was for my health. I went to the doctor and my cholesterol was high. The doctor gave me some pills and told me I would probably have to take these pills for the rest of my life. I asked for an alternative to the medication, and the doctor said, well, if you start exercising and change your diet, that would help, but most people can't do that. So just take the pills. I said, wait, what? There was my why. I saw a quote the other day. It said, whenever your why is big enough, you will find your how. The next step is the planning step. In this step, you figure out what is going to take to complete your goal. You think about the risks, you think about the schedule, you think about the requirements. All of this is done in the planning phase. In the planning step or phase, you identify anything that will constrain or block your project or your goal. In project management, if there is a challenge with time, cost, or requirements, it's called a challenge with the triple constraint. At the time, I was working a full-time job. I had a part-time job, so I had to find the time. Time would be one of my biggest constraints. My plan was to go to the gym in the morning, early in the morning, because early in the morning, not many people are there. I did that to get my workout done early, and I can go from machine to machine because I knew I was going to be one of a very few people that would be in the gym at that time. Time was a constraint, and I had to address it. Next, I planned my workouts, and I figured out how I was going to document my workouts. Of course, there's an app for that. I had to plan on what exercises I was going to do on what days. I had to plan on what cardio I was going to do every day. I had to plan on what weight training I was going to do every day. And I had to do a plan for the stretching that I was going to do every day. The next step is execution. This is when you actually do the work on the goal. Try to do something towards your goal every day. This is when you will figure out if it's attainable and reasonable. I can tell you this, the first week, it didn't seem like this goal was reasonable. And getting up at 4 a.m. every morning definitely didn't seem attainable. But remember, I had my why, so I persevered. I read an article and it said 63% of gym memberships go unused. 82% of gym members go to the gym less than one time per week. But because I had a compelling why, I continue to get up every single morning. Next is the monitoring and controlling step. It's more than just checking things off of a list. As you are completing tasks on a daily basis, make sure you are continually monitoring everything. And completing these tasks on a daily basis will definitely help you build up a good habit. This phase mirrors the time-based part of the SMART goal model. You can't just look at your progress at the beginning and at the end. Remember, you have a timeline you must meet. Halfway through the project, you should be halfway through the project or your goal. Halfway through, so at about the 2-month mark, I had lost about 12 to 15 pounds. So that told me I was on track. I had my app every morning, just like I have today. Everything was documented. I had an electronic scale so that when I got on the scale, those numbers would go straight to the app. So all my metrics were in one place. I also wore a chest strap so that it monitored my heart rate. All of the metrics went into the app. I wanted to lose 1 to 2 pounds a week. I monitored this closely, and to this day, I still monitor these metrics. There's a quote from Peter Drucker, and it's a quote that I really live by, and it says, "What gets measured gets managed." The last step is the closeout part of the project. In project management, this is where you make sure your project is complete and you make final payments. There is no closeout in the SMART model. However, this is where you celebrate your accomplishments and don't forget, set another goal. At the end of the 4 months, I had lost 35 pounds. I went from 205 pounds to 170 pounds. And I'm not telling you this about my experience to impress you. I want to impress upon you the fact that I can set a goal and attain it, so can you. To recap, I discussed the SMART model of goal setting and the 5 phases of project management. The steps were initiate, which closely relates to the specific phase of the SMART goal model. Planning, and this closely relates to the measurable part of the SMART goal model. Step 3 is execute, which is related to attainable and reasonable in the SMART model. Monitor and controlling, which is closely related to time-based in the SMART model. And lastly, step 5, which is closeout of the project. Just think about it like this. In both the SMART model and project managed model, this is where you are celebrating the completion of your project or reaching your goal. I will close with a poem that I recite on a regular basis. And I recite it on a regular basis because I set goals on a regular basis. And the poem goes something like this. If you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and your sleep for it, if all that you scheme and dream is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, if you gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it, lose all the terror of the opposition for it, then you simply just go after that thing with all of your capacity. Strength and sagacity, faith, hope, confidence, and stern pertinacity. If neither cold, poverty, famine, nor gout, nor sickness, nor pain of body and brain can keep you away from that thing that you want, if dogged and grim you besiege and beset it, with the help of God, you will get it. I hope these steps and my story gives you a good idea of how to complete your next goal or project, and I hope it inspires you. If you found value in this video, please hit the subscribe button below and leave comments. My name is Chris Houston. I will be posting every Saturday. Thank you very much. Good night and God bless.